Well, good afternoon, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to the latest webinar from Evenbreak for employers called Attracting Disabled Candidates. We put on a series of events for employers because our social mission at Evenbreak is to really make the world of work accessible to disabled people so that disabled people can enjoy the same opportunities to enter and thrive and progress in the workplace as anyone else can. We're a social enterprise, we're all disabled ourselves, and we work with employers to help you attract disabled candidates and also to become more inclusive and accessible through training and events. And these events we all put on free of charge because we want to encourage employers to be as inclusive and accessible as possible. As ever, we have a BSL interpreter with us today, Nicola. And also we have a captioner. So if you want to turn on your live transcript, then you'll be able to follow the captions as we go along. We put these on as a default to all of our events, whether people have asked for this or not, just to really promote the fact that accessibility should be there as a given. We also obviously ask participants if they have any additional access needs that we can help with during any events. But for us, accessibility should be something that's there by default rather than having to be thought about separately. So today we're talking about attracting disabled candidates, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Alex Howard from the Arts Council England. And it's great to have an employer on board as well when we're talking about these issues, because I can talk about it from Evenbreak's perspective, but it's always good to hear about it from an employer's perspective as well. So very, very warm welcome to you, Alex. And if you'd like to just introduce yourself.
Hi there. Thanks, Jane. I'm Alex Howard. I'm one of the HR partners at the Arts Council, and I look after a lot of the recruitment within my role and working closely with other colleagues on that as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alex. So it's great to have you here. So I'll just share my screen. I'm going to use some slides, and this worked just about 5 minutes ago. So let's hope it works now. It looks as though it might be. So actually, Alex, I'd like to ask you first of all, although we're talking about how to attract disabled candidates, I'd love to hear from you why it's important to Arts Council England to attract disabled candidates. Why is it that you proactively go out and really try and attract more disabled talent within your organisation?
A number of reasons, really. First of all, we want to make sure that we are attracting the broadest range of people to bring on new talent, new perspectives, and we absolutely recognise that we need to make sure that our vacancies are as appealing to as many different people as possible. As an organisation, when we fund arts organisations, we're always asking them to ensure that they are representative of the communities that they serve. And obviously, as an organisation, we need to ensure that we are as well. So we have identified that we are underrepresented in terms of headcount percentage for disabled staff, and we've actually published externally a target for that headcount percentage. So our target is to reach 14.5% of headcount that are disabled, deaf and or neurodivergent by March 2024. So just to give you an idea, we're currently at 10.3%, and that's an increase quite considerably from last year, where this time last year we were at 7.7% of headcount. So we're definitely still on a journey here, but we're kind of heading in the right direction.
That's great, because I think probably most people who are listening to this now will be on a similar trajectory, that most organisations aren't yet representative of mirroring the population in terms of disability, but are kind of on that journey. So it's great to have an organisation that really sees the benefits of doing all of this as well. So what we're going to cover in this webinar is looking at each stage, if you like, of the beginning part of attracting candidates, what we need to do in order to make candidates feel that they want to work, with disabled people, that they're attractive to disabled people. And so, I was going to ask that question and it's too late because I've just shared the answer, which is cheating. So what we're going to do is look at, how we do that first part of the recruitment process. So, a vacancy occurs and then what happens? And then we're going to look at the job design, the job description, writing job adverts, where to advertise, and how to establish credibility as an inclusive employer of choice. And so I just wanted to ask, although I've just shown you the answer, so you might have seen it. We did some research some years ago at Evenbreak. Well, actually, we didn't do the research. We got a university to carry it out for us. So UCL carried out some research around what the biggest barriers are that disabled people face when they're looking for work. And I just wondered if you wanted to pop into the chat, because we want this to be as interactive as possible. Any ideas about what you think the biggest barrier for disabled people was when they were looking for work? If you had a sneak preview of the slide that I just shared, then you'll know what the answer is. Inaccessible buildings is one guess. Yeah, any others? Judging on past experience, yeah. Okay, so there are a number of things it could be, because we know, of course, that there are a lot of barriers for disabled people when they're looking for work. The biggest barrier by far, over 80% of over 700 disabled people said that the biggest barrier they felt was finding employers that they had confidence in applying to. So they said that we don't know which employers are genuine about us. Most employers will say, we are an equal opportunities employer. But actually, the experience of a lot of disabled candidates is that when they apply to those organisations, they're still rejected as soon as their disability becomes apparent. And so one of the biggest problems, they said, was we just don't know which employers are going to be serious about employing us as disabled people and aren't just going to drop us like a hot potato as soon as they find out that we're disabled. So that's quite an interesting statistic, I think, that there were other barriers. Inaccessible recruitment processes was the second barrier, and also not having confidence in employers to make the recruitment process accessible. And then the third one was about self-confidence. Because of the constant rejections, it was about, well, is there any point in me even applying because I probably won't get the job anyway? But the biggest one was, how do I know that this employer is going to take me seriously? So that's something to bear in mind, I think, as we go through, the webinar today. And we'll look a little bit later on about what organisations can do to actually reassure disabled candidates that they are a safe place to look at and to apply to. So looking at the recruitment process right at the beginning, when a vacancy occurs, so maybe somebody leaves, and then what's the next thing that happens? And in most organisations, what tends to happen is that they pull out the job description they used for the previous person and the advert, and they repeat the process. So they use the same job description they used before, the same advert, and they put the advert in the same places. And this can be problematic for a whole number of reasons. And what we suggest is that when a vacancy occurs, it's a real opportunity to look at the job description again and the job itself again and think about, actually, is that relevant now, or have things changed? Things might have changed since we wrote that job description. It might be that we need different skills now. It might be that we can offer different opportunities in terms of working practices now. And so it's a really good idea to look at the job description and really review it and look at things like, has the role changed? Are there things that now we need that we didn't need before? Can we future-proof this role? So maybe there are things, new technology, new ways of working that we can incorporate into this role that means that the organisation is going to be future-proofed for things we're going to need that we can see coming up, whether that's technological advances or whatever it might be. And can this job be done flexibly? So 10 years ago, let's say Fred started this job 10 years ago, maybe work wasn't so flexible then. Maybe hybrid working wasn't a thing. Maybe everybody worked full time and nobody worked part time. Maybe everybody came into the office every day, but we know that things have changed. I mean, really a lot in the last 2 years around things like flexible working and whether people have to come to the office, whether they have to be full time, and all of those sorts of things. So when the vacancy occurs, it's a really good opportunity to think, actually, could this job be done from home or perhaps on a hybrid basis? And does it need to be a full-time person, or could it be a part-time person, or could we job share it so it's 2 part-time people? And then thinking about the new skills that you might need, that have emerged since Fred left. Because if we do exactly the same thing that we've always done, we're just going to get more Freds. No insult intended to anybody on the call called Fred. But what we don't necessarily want to do is replicate everybody we've already got. We might want to bring new skills, new ideas, new diversity of talent within the organisation. And I know, Alex, at the Arts Council England, you talk about going through job descriptions with a red pen. So it's actually making sure that the job description is accurate and not asking for the moon. Do you want to just talk us through that?
Yeah, wherever we've got the opportunity to review and change a job description prior to recruitment, we definitely do that. And there's the process of that would be that in HR, we will have a look at what the hiring managers provided to us, and we will challenge them on things like the essential skills and experience that they've put down there. And particularly if they're asking people to have sector experience or particular qualifications that actually aren't relevant to what the person will be doing in the role on a day-to-day basis, but they're just something that the previous person had, so they kind of add that into the job description. So we do spend a lot of time doing that. We are limited in terms of which roles we can do that for, because we do have a number of roles where there are a large number of people already in that, and obviously that's a much bigger process to change and going through consultation, etc. But we do have future plans to look at those roles as well, to make sure that they are genuinely reflective of what the person will be doing, and also that they focus on those transferable skills rather than that sector-based experience.
Fantastic, thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
And anybody who's listening, if you have any questions or any comments to make, and maybe you're doing things really well and you could share that with us and we can all learn from that too, would be really great. So please use the chat and the Q&A, do join in. If there's any questions at all about what I'm saying or any questions for Alex, please do pop them in there. And if you have examples of good practice, it would be really great to share those as well. So yes, the vacancy occurs and it gives us an opportunity to look at that vacancy and how it might be done differently in the future. And the actual job design itself, I mentioned before, can we do the job differently? And I think before the pandemic, there was a kind of assumption that every job had to be done full-time, 9 to 5 in the office, Monday to Friday, 40 hours a week, and that was it. I think we've recognised that there are lots of different ways of working now, all equally successful. And some jobs, can't be done from home. Obviously, if you're going to be a receptionist or you're working, in a high street shop, you have to be there in person. But some roles might lend themselves to home working or maybe hybrid working. And, what are the options for flexible working? So sometimes people, particularly disabled people, but also non-disabled people, might not want to travel in the rush hour. So perhaps they could come in late and go home late, or come in early and go home early. So those flexible working hours, or maybe having, working longer hours on some days and shorter hours on others to fit around lifestyle or caring responsibilities or a disability. So it's really important to look at each job on its own merits and say, well, actually, could this job be done differently? Could it be more flexibly worked? Does it need to be someone who's full-time? If it's a full-time role, could it be done by 2 part-time people? We have the way we work at Evenbreak is we find the right person for the job, and then we talk about hours. So if the right person for the job only wants to work 25 hours, but it's a a full-time job, then we might then advertise for the remaining 15 hours. So for us, it's more important to get the right person and then worry about the job itself. So it could be done full-time, it could be done part-time. And then remote working. And I think this is, for me, something that we should be offering where possible, where the job allows, to all candidates. So it's not just a reasonable adjustment for disabled candidates, which I think it was seen as prior to the pandemic, but actually, if the role allows it, giving every candidate the opportunity to work either fully at home or fully in the workplace, or some kind of hybrid split of the two, if the role allows it. Because we know that there are lots of non-disabled people who actually enjoyed working from home during the pandemic and would like to continue, not to have their 2-hour commute every day. And there are disabled people who really missed going into the office and having that social interaction. So for me, remote working should be an option where possible for any candidate, regardless of whether they're disabled or not. And something that we talk about quite a bit at Evenbreak is job carving. So often you'll have a job, and most of us don't 100% like every bit of our job or are 100% good at every bit of our job. Sometimes the job might be, well, 80% of it means you need those skills, but 20% of it is actually different. It might be admin, or it might be reporting, or whatever it might be. And sometimes it might be useful, if you're really looking to get the best talent, to job carve that role so that you can find someone who's absolutely brilliant at that 80%, and then somebody else who's brilliant at the other 20%, and then between them, the 100% gets filled. So it's a really good idea to look for job carving opportunities as well. And that means you play to people's strengths. And sometimes it might be that disabled people might be able to do most of the job, but there might be parts of it that they can't do. And so rather than saying, well, you can't have the job then, we can consider job carving. And then this thing I talked about, with new skills and future proofing, are there new skills that we should be looking for within the candidates coming through? It must be difficult, Alex, in the arts world to look at this, because for some roles, clearly, people will need to be in person in the job. If they're at an art gallery or they're at a theatre, they need to actually be there. But there will be some roles as well that are kind of more behind the scenes that can be done remotely. How do you promote flexible working within Arts Council?
Yeah, so for the vast majority of our staff, we're operating on we have been at home 100% of the time during the pandemic, and now we are moving to a hybrid model, with most of the time still working at home, and then for most people 1 or 2 days a week in the office nearest to their home location. And people are now starting to travel and go out and visit the arts organisations, so going out to visit, as you said, museums, theatres, art galleries, etc. But actually it's something that we really promote. We have flexible working hours, we have different working patterns, so people can do things like a 9-day fortnight, for example. We're always open to job shares. So it's something that we really promote in our adverts, because we're a public sector organisation. At the moment, it's quite challenging for everybody to recruit, and we can't compete on salary, but we can offer these things. And actually, they're things that really appeal to a wide range of candidates. So we do really kind of promote that, not just in the job description, but actually in the adverts as well, in terms of the way we work as an organisation.
I think that's really important, isn't it? Because I think for candidates looking at jobs, when they're looking to see which jobs to apply for, often if you can see that flexible working is encouraged, or that it's hybrid, or remote working is available, or part-time working is available, you're going to attract a whole cohort of candidates that you may not have otherwise attracted. So yes, disabled people, but also maybe people with caring responsibilities, or parents with childcare, or people who have other responsibilities or hobbies, or maybe they're studying. You actually open up, so you get much more a wider talent pool, really, that can apply and see this job as attractive. And I think you're right, we can't always compete on salaries, but I think we do know from a lot of research that when we look at what people look for when they're looking for work, salary is in that list, but it's not always top usually it's things like, will I feel valued? Will I be able to make a difference? Will I be listened to? Can I contribute? Is it flexible? All of those kinds of things sometimes come above salary in terms of, whether somebody wants to apply for that job or not. So if you want to become an attractive employer, the more flexible you can be within the parameters of the job, obviously, the better in terms of actually widening your talent pool and attracting more candidates. And you'll see that as we're going through this, although we're talking specifically about disability and disabled candidates, a lot of the things that we talk about attracting disabled candidates actually mean that you're more attractive as an employer to all candidates. So it's not kind of targeting one group at the expense of another. It's actually making you a more attractive proposition as an employer generally. So these lessons can be applied more widely than disability, but they certainly apply to disability. So we talked a bit earlier on about the job description and the person spec, and this is an area where sometimes we do fall down. And I love Alex's red pen where you go through and remove all the things that aren't absolutely vital. Sometimes I'll see job descriptions where they're saying, we need you to be a really good team player, but we also need you to be really good at working on your own. And we need you to be really good at creative thinking. And we need you to be really good at detail and actually most jobs don't need all of that. They'll need some of that. And it's important to make sure that we only include in the job description those things that we really need for that job, not just including things because they're ubiquitous. Everybody says, oh, we want a team player. But if you're going to be working at home in a cubicle, on coding, do you need to be a team player? Not necessarily. So it's about the actual job itself. And, I would say really concentrate on those strengths and qualities that are needed for that role, rather than just things that we tend to put there out of habit because they appear everywhere. And what we do know about disabled candidates is that we are probably too good at self-selecting. So there's been research done about how, generally speaking, men will go for a job if they meet 60% of the criteria, whereas women will want to think they meet 80 to 100% of the criteria before they'll apply. And that also happens with disabled candidates because of the history of discrimination and people thinking, well, is there any point in me applying because they won't want me anyway? If they can see things on the job description that maybe they can't do or that they'd struggle to do, they'll just not bother to apply. So actually, if you put things on there that aren't needed, you could be excluding, the best person for the job. So it's important to give a real sense of what's absolutely necessary, the deal breakers, that absolutely have to have these strengths. And also to think about, do you need someone who is very experienced in that role so they can literally hit the ground running? And sometimes that's the case. Or is it a role where you can bring someone in and actually train them in the things that you need them to be able to do? So every organization is different and we have different ways of working and different policies. And it may be that you want someone that you can actually train so that they do things in your house style, in your way. So it's important to think about, do we need someone who is already highly qualified and experienced in this role, or do we need someone who has an interest in this role that we can then train and bring on? And if it's the latter, then it's more about strengths than skills or experience, because you can teach people how to do tasks, you can teach people skills, but you can't really teach people strengths. So it's more about what kind of person do we need? What kind of traits do we want them to have? And then you can teach them the skills, whereas, attitude is a bit harder to train. And as Alex just said, do you always want people who have experience in your sector? And we find a lot of organizations do ask for this, must have experience in this sector. And two things happen then. One is that you exclude people who don't have experience in that sector. But the other thing is that we never really change, because if we're always the same people are moving around the same sector, there are no new ideas coming in. Nobody comes into it with a kind of a blank canvas and thinking, well, why is it you do it this way? Because in our sector, we do it that way. And actually bringing in people from other sectors might mean that you bring in innovation and new ideas and transferable skills. So if you're thinking always about, we must have someone who's got sector experience in whatever it is your sector is, then that's limiting you both in terms of talent, but also in terms of the opportunity to innovate and grow. And, I love Alex's approach to job descriptions. And then there's the actual job adverts itself. And this is interesting because often even our clients at Evenbreak the advert and the job description is the same thing. So they tend to just reproduce the job description and put it in the advert. And that's great, except that a job advert is an advert. I mean, the clue's in the name. So you're actually selling something. You're selling the opportunity. You're selling your organization as a prospective employer. So in the same way that you would sell a car or a house or whatever it is you might be selling, you want to be highlighting the benefits and the features for the person applying. So what is it that's going to make them like you as an employer? What is it that's going to make them want to apply to you as opposed to anyone else? And we know that with skill shortages at the moment, it's very much a candidate-driven market. So we need to be very clear about why you are a better organization than others might be, that they're also looking at the same time. And so when you're writing job adverts, it's good to use the word you a lot rather than we. So instead of talking about you as an organization and how wonderful you are, it's actually about the candidate and what they might get from it. So looking at it from their perspective and thinking of it that if you were a candidate, why would they want to work for you? What is it about your organization that makes you particularly attractive? What is it that they're going to gain from you that they might not from other organizations? So that needs to be really quite prominent in the advert. And again, going back to what we were talking about with the job description, a really accurate overview of what you're looking for, what you need from this candidate. So not a list of 24 different characteristics, but maybe 4 or 5 must-haves that go in the advert so that people won't self-select themselves out because they can't see that they can do all of it. So just maybe 4 or 5 absolute must-haves and put those and make sure that they're accurate in the job advert. So what are you looking for? But also very much about what you offer to them. So it's important that they can see why they would want to work for you. So do you offer support? Do you offer flexible working? Do you offer an employee resource group, for example, for disabled candidates? So you're selling what's in it for them. And we know that some disabled people, not all by any stretch of the imagination, but some disabled people might need adjustments in the recruitment process so that they can access it and show themselves at their best. So it's important in the job advert to make it really easy for candidates to request adjustments in the recruitment process. You might even want to describe what the recruitment process is so they can make that decision. And also to have a prominent inclusion statement. So often we'll see, the whole advert, which reads a bit like a job description, and then right at the bottom, it'll say something like, we are an equal opportunities employer. We encourage candidates from blah, 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 blah. And it's, the standard statement that you see at the bottom of every advert. And it kind of doesn't mean anything because everybody writes it there and it's right at the bottom. So it's much more powerful if somewhere really prominent near the top of the advert, you can talk about, we really want diverse candidates because, and then talk about why you want diverse candidates. It's not to tick a box. It's not to look good. It's not CSR. It's because you recognize that the kind of talents and skills that you need will come from diverse candidates. And so the candidate looking at the advert will very quickly see, this is somewhere that maybe will, value my skills and where I would thrive. So all of those things are really important when you're looking at how you sell that job to the candidates, because what you want is a good response from people who are suitable, for that particular role. And before I go back to Alex, one of the things that we talk about in terms of offering adjustments is that some organizations will put something like this on their job adverts, even if they mention adjustments at all, which many won't. But it could be, do you consider yourself to be disabled? Yes or no. Do you need any adjustments? Yes or no. What are they? And it's good that they're asking the question, but the way it's asked makes me feel, as a disabled person, a bit like, are they asking me this question to trick me, to actually find out whether I'm disabled so they can screen me out of their recruitment process? If I've been discriminated against a lot in my past, I might view this with a some judgment, some kind of suspicion. And I might not be ready yet to tell you as an employer that I know nothing about that I am disabled. Maybe I want to keep that in my back pocket until I choose to share that with you. So another way of offering adjustments, it's actually saying the same thing, but it's saying it in a different way, is we want you to have something like, we want all of our candidates to have every opportunity to shine and show us your talents. Please let us know if there is anything we can do to make sure the assessment process works for you. So what you're not doing is singling out disabled people to say, are you disabled? Tell us. What you're saying is all candidates, is there anything we can do that will make this work for you? And it might be a parent who says, don't interview me at 3 o'clock, so I've got to pick the kids up. Or it might be a disabled person who says, could I have the interview questions in advance because I take a bit longer to process questions. It could be, anything like that, which is useful for them. So it's asking the same question, but it's doing it in a much more friendly way and actually making candidates think, yeah, actually, I can tell them because they've told me why they're asking me. They're asking me because they want to see me at my best. So I will tell them. So I think that's a really important thing. And Alex, I wondered at the Arts Council whether you, how you do this. How do you have a named person on your adverts that people can talk to about the job beforehand, perhaps in an informal way? Or how do people go about asking for adjustments if they want to apply for you?
Yeah, we a number of things that we've done around the advert and supporting people as they come into the process. One of my colleagues, who I think is on this webinar as well, has been doing a review of our recruitment and selection process and has introduced a template for managers in terms of actually writing adverts, which is really helpful in terms of making sure it includes all that relevant information that you talked about. Part of adverts is a link to a guide about how to apply for roles at the Arts Council. So that outlines to candidates how we will review applications and make shortlisting decisions. And it also includes a statement around adjustments for that process. And I think the wording that we use is adjustments to help you perform at your best during the interview. And we actually give some examples as well within that of the kind of adjustments that people might ask for, but obviously make it really clear that that's not an exhaustive list and there might be others. So we ask that question, and we ask that question, I think, at every stage of the process. So we ask again when we're inviting people to interview, and if they're coming to a second interview, we invite them again at that point.
Lovely, that's great. I love that link to help for candidates to apply. Because, some people will have had lots of employability training, or maybe they've had it at school or college or university, but other people, they might have been in the same job for a long time and now they're looking again and they're kind of, new to applying for jobs. And that guide is really useful. And, things like make sure that your application is related to the criteria that you've given and all of those kinds of things. So that can be really reassuring. And also, I think it's a subliminal message, isn't it, to candidates that actually you want the candidates to succeed. You're not there to try and catch them out or, sift them out for reasons that have got nothing to do with their ability to do the job. So I think that's really good. That's something that somebody, you might want to think about if you're on this call, is actually having a guide. And also, I think, as I mentioned before, with asking for adjustments, it's really useful if you have on the advert a named person with their telephone number, with their email address, because people communicate in different ways, for an informal chat, maybe about the role itself. It might be that a disabled person is looking at the job and thinking, actually, I think I could do that, but I'm not sure. I need to find out a bit more about it first. And to have someone they can have a conversation with can be really quite reassuring. And also then they can discuss any adjustments that they might want within the recruitment process. So, that advert really is showcasing you as an organisation. And we'll come back to some of the things you might want to include in the advert a little bit later on. So where to advertise? So you've got your advert written and it's all inclusive and it makes you look like a great inclusive employer, which I'm sure you are. But then it's about where you put those adverts. And as we said before, really, if you advertise in the same places, you're going to get the same kind of candidates. So if we want to proactively reach out to diverse candidates, we really need to make a bit of an effort to find out where they are and where they look. Now, I'm biased, of course, because I run Evenbreak, but we know that specialist job boards in all sorts of protected characteristics work really well. And if we go back to that biggest barrier that we talked about at the beginning, which is not knowing which organisations will take us seriously, you could be the most inclusive employer on the planet. But if candidates don't know you are, they're still not going to apply. So it's how do we make that really clear? And one of the things that our candidates say to us is if we can see that an employer has paid to advertise their jobs on a job board that's just for people like me, just for disabled people, then it gives me genuine confidence that they are interested in my talent. It's not just a byline, we are an equal opportunities employer, which doesn't cost anything or mean anything. It's a real demonstration that they wouldn't be advertising on Evenbreak if they didn't want disabled candidates. So this is a real demonstration of their commitment. And there are other specialist job boards and also for other protected characteristics. So, the same principle applies if you're trying to attract women or people from ethnic minorities or people from the LGBTQ plus community and so on. So if you find specialist job boards, that's a really powerful statement, and you'll have a ready-made group of talent there who are actively looking for roles like yours. The same applies to specialist journals. So there are journals for disabled people, magazines like Possibility and Enable and Disability Now and Able. There are quite a few specialist journals. I mean, they're not cheap to advertise in, so you might not want to advertise every single job, but there might be some roles that you're finding hard to fill that you decide to splash out on a print advert in a specialist journal. And of course, some of those are online as well. All of the Evenbreak jobs, for example, also appear on Disability Horizons, which is an online magazine, I suppose, for disabled people. And then there might be specialist organisations in the area where you're recruiting from. So often there will be social enterprises or charities that work with disabled people looking for jobs. So it's certainly worth looking to see if there are any organisations in your area that you can really go to and let them know about your vacancies, because it may well be that they have people that they can support into that role for you. So advertising in different places is really necessary if what you're looking for are different candidates. And I know, Alex, that you advertise on Evenbreak because you're one of our clients. Are there any other ways that you advertise that are kind of more, proactive?
Yeah, so as you've said, specialist job boards, Evenbreak being one, are definitely, and we advertise all of our vacancies on Evenbreak. We do also have relatively good networks via our staff into things like disability arts organisations, and we will really encourage people to share vacancies out into those type of organisations, and that's really effective. And we will do kind of extras as well for certain roles. So we've run a couple of pieces of ring-fenced recruitment where we've ring-fenced it for disabled applicants. And we've got a member of our staff who's deaf to sign a video, which we've then promoted alongside the advert. So I think it's about, as you say, just demonstrating to people that we're somewhere that they could come and work and there are people like them there, and that we take it really seriously as well.
That's great. Do you want to talk to us a bit more about the ring-fenced roles and what kind of success you've had with those?
Yeah, so that's been something that's quite new to us. Just tried it out for the first time over the last 12 months. And we've run a couple of pieces of ring-fenced recruitment now, which have been really, really successful. So our findings from that have been that the overall volume of applications was down, but that's probably a good thing because we get quite a lot of applications for all of our vacancies, but the quality has been much higher. So we've had a really high quality of candidates. We've recruited a number of people now through those processes. I think what's been really successful is that the director who oversaw that is somebody who's a member of our Staff Disability Network, and really championed that approach. What's great now is that I'm getting a lot of interest from other recruiting managers about taking this approach. And in fact, I've got a call with someone tomorrow about a particular role, which we'd like to take that approach with as well. So we've found it takes some planning, and it's really important to make sure it gets out to the right people by using Evenbreak, by sharing with those people within our network, etc., just so that it kind of gets that publicity, so that we can get the applications and spend some time with the hiring managers as well, just to make sure we've really thought about that process, thought about the wording of the jobs, etc., and then really to ensure that the onboarding, we've learned an awful lot from those processes, to make sure that that onboarding process, things like access to work, we're working with people from day one on that. We're doing a lot of work around reasonable adjustments at the moment and workplace adjustments to try and make our internal processes a bit smoother around that. But just to make sure that once somebody's been offered, we're making that transition into employment really positive for them as well.
Fantastic. So ring fencing is certainly something that people might want to think about if you want to do a fairly quick way of making your workforce more diverse. Certainly a number of organisations that we work with have done exactly that. And they've done things like, so we worked with ITV with their apprenticeships. What they did was they ring fenced a number of their apprenticeships for disabled candidates. And they put on a day where people could contact them and have some support around their CVs or their application and what they were actually looking for, which meant that the quality of people's applications was better as a result of that. So there are all sorts of positive action things that you can do, which can be really quite exciting. So yeah, do give that some thought. And then finally, really, it's about going back to the reassuring candidates that you are an inclusive employer of choice and that you will be interested in their talent and that it is worth them applying. There are all sorts of ways that you can reassure candidates that you are an inclusive employer of choice. And the biggest and most powerful one is word of mouth. So if you have disabled people who work within your organisation who feel that they're supported, that they're valued, that they're thriving within the organisation, it's really good to get their stories. Now, not everybody wants to be a poster girl or boy for, disabled people. But some may well be very happy to do it. And something just like, I don't know, a 10-second video of, I work for this organisation and I have X condition, and I'm supported and adjustments have been put in place for me and my career progression hasn't been hampered, is incredibly powerful, that kind of peer review, so that a candidate looking at that can actually say, well, it's not just the recruiters or the senior managers saying we're an inclusive employer. It's I'm hearing it from somebody like me. And even though my disability might be different from theirs, if they're thriving and they've had adjustments made and their career progression hasn't been hampered, this is somewhere where I could thrive too. Incredibly powerful. It's a bit like TripAdvisor for employers. So that word of mouth is incredibly important. And of course, your reputation. as an organisation. If you're in the paper every other week for being in court for disability discrimination, it's unlikely that you're going to attract many disabled candidates. So obviously your reputation is going to be very important. But from a positive point of view, you can really enhance that reputation in lots of different ways. So there are various ways of being accredited or getting recognition for being an inclusive employer of choice. One of them, for example, is Disability Confident. This is a scheme that's run by the government. It works at 3 levels. Level 1 is committed, which means that you just sign up to say, yeah, we're committed to doing this and we're going to put things in place. Level 2 is that you are a disability confident employer, and so you've started putting things in place. And those 2 are self-assessed. And then the 3rd level is leader, disability confident leader. And you need to be externally assessed in order to get disability confident leader. So it has a little bit more teeth than the other 2, because you have had someone else has independently verified you as being disability confident. I wouldn't say this is a panacea. I wouldn't say it's the best scheme in the world. And I think DWP, who run it, know that there are issues with it that need to be improved. But what I would say is that it's a very strong statement that disability is on your agenda. Because often when we talk to employers about diversity and inclusion, they'll talk a lot about maybe race, maybe gender, maybe LGBTQI+ if we're lucky, but rarely about disability. And of course, disabled candidates know that. So even if you've done a lot towards inclusion, they still need to know that you include disability in that diversity agenda. So having that disability confident badge, if you like, is something that, if nothing else, it says when we talk about diversity, we include disability within that conversation. So it's definitely a good thing to have, and it's a good framework as well. And then you can be clear assured. You can sign up to Mindful Employer, which is very much about employers who support mental health within the workplace. And those kinds of things, they're not just badges, they're not just tick boxes. They do actually say to candidates, this is important to us. And we do value, good mental health, and we do support mental health within the workplace. And we have been externally accredited at doing some of these inclusion things. And also, if you win any awards, so, there are all sorts of awards. There's the Recruitment Industry Disability Initiative Awards. There's Diversity Champions, that, Inclusive Employer Awards. There are all sorts of awards. And it's not just about ego, because I think if you can win some of those awards, again, it is an indication. It's never a guarantee, but it's an indication that inclusion and diversity and disability is very much on your agenda and something that you take seriously and something you're looking at. So certainly those are things to be thinking of. And positive action. So a little bit like Alex was saying earlier on, a link to a guide as to how to apply. It may be that you offer support to disabled candidates who want to apply. One of the things we encourage employers to do is that at Evenbreak, we have a career hive, which is career support for disabled people who are looking for new or better work. And it's free of charge, and there's lots of resources on there. There's signposting, there are online resources. We do a lot of events, workshop, meet the employer events, things like that. And also we have careers coaches who will offer career coaching to disabled candidates who are looking for new or better work. And they have lived experience of disability themselves. And all of the service is designed and delivered by disabled people. And I mentioned that because one very quick, easy action you could take today is to put on your careers page, if you are disabled and looking for to apply for one of our jobs, you can get support from Evenbreak's Career Hive, and put the link on. And what that means is if they want to apply for one of your jobs, but they want a bit of help with the CV, or they want help with interview prep or whatever, they can go there and it will make sure that their application is better. And Toby's put the link to the Career Hive in the chat, so if any of you want to have a look at it, that's there. But there are other ways of positive action. So, the way you word your adverts, where you put your advert, offering support, guaranteed interviews for disabled people. It's part of the Disability Confidence Scheme, but some organisations offer shortlist candidates if they're disabled and they meet the minimum criteria, because what you don't want to do, of course, is guarantee interviews to people who don't meet the minimum criteria. But this goes back to what we were saying about the job description and the job advert. If you make sure that you have the absolute must-haves on there, then if a candidate has those must-haves, but they're disabled, so maybe their CV isn't as impressive as you might want it to be because they've been discriminated against in the past, use that positive action, to support that. Kylie has raised a hand. Are you able to unmute yourself and ask the question? Not sure whether you can unmute yourself on this on webinar mode. If not, if you want to, it's Kelly, if you want to pop it into the question box or the chat box, I'll do my best to answer it. I'm not sure you can unmute on this particular thing. And then again, in terms of establishing credibility, very much around showcasing, what you're achieving, making sure that you tell those stories. If you have new initiatives, if you, become disability confident, or you review your process and there are more things that you're adding, let people know, share it on social media. If you're on job boards, put it on your profile page. So all of those kinds of things that you can do. One of the things that we offer at Evenbreak is meet the employer. So the employers who work with us, like Arts Council do, on an unlimited advertising basis, can actually have a meet the employer session where we invite the candidates along, and then you as an employer can talk about what you do as an employer, what the breadth of jobs are, what the recruitment process looks like, how to ask for adjustments, how to shine in the recruitment process. And it means that the candidates can see the human face, if you like, of the organisation. And then that's recorded and put on your profile page so that people can see it from then on. So it's really about looking at whatever you can do to reassure candidates that you really are a genuinely inclusive employer. It's not just a tick box for you, that it's really important. Alex, do you have anything to add to any of that I've just said?
No, just to say that we're part of the guaranteed interview scheme, and I think that is a really great piece of positive action that you can take. And one of the things that's helped us is to publish that guidance about actually what do you need to demonstrate in your application to make sure that you meet those essential criteria, and then obviously if you have a disability you'd be guaranteed an interview. So I think that's something really positive. We also offer, not for every role but for some roles, drop-in sessions. So they're virtual drop-in sessions, making sure that those are inclusive, so using virtual inclusivity features, making sure there's a BSL interpreter booked, etc. And that's like an informal environment where people can come and ask questions and understand a little bit more about that particular role, the team and the Arts Council as a whole. And that's been really successful. And yeah, just to get those stories out there, not just on your own website, but on various different careers pages, other external websites, social media, just about what it's like to work for you, what you're like as an employer, working practices, sort of case studies and things like that. I think that's always a really positive thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And of course, we know that a lot of candidates, disabled or otherwise, if they're looking for a job with you, they'll have a look at your website. So it's really good to have all of those things on your website. We've had feedback at Evenbreak. I mean, we're all disabled, but we're actually quite diverse in other ways as well. So in terms of ethnicity and age and gender and all the rest of it. We've had candidates who've said to us that one of the things that persuaded them to apply was when they looked at our Meet the Team page, and they could see just visually that, people were different ages, different genders, different skin colors. And actually that immediately makes you think, yeah, I'd fit in here. I'm not going to sort of stick out like a sore thumb because I'm different. And so those kinds of things, those, meet the team, more stories about people who work there, who are different in different ways, can be really reassuring to candidates to actually feel, yeah, this is somewhere where I would belong, where I wouldn't have to mask, where I could be myself, where if I needed access adjustments, nobody would bat an eyelid, that would be fine. And so all of those things can be really powerful when you're trying to attract a demographic that's perhaps a bit wary about applying for jobs for all the reasons that we stated earlier on. So I hope that's been helpful. If there are any questions or any comments from anybody on the call, I'd be very, very happy to take them. I don't think you can unmute yourself because we're in webinar mode, but you're very welcome to jot something down in the Q&A or in the chat, whichever you prefer, and then we can answer those questions. But you know, if you think of something after today, it will be recorded, so you'll be able to go back and see the recording. But also, you know, just get in touch with us if you have any questions at all about anything we said. You don't have to be a client of ours. We won't do a hard sell. It's not the way we work. We'd be very happy to help. As a social enterprise, what we want to do is make the world of work very inclusive. So if there's anything we can do to help at any time, we'd be very happy to do that. So if there's any questions or comments now, that would be great. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, is there a link to Alex's guide available? Good question. It'll be on your website, I suspect, won't it?
Yeah, that's right. If you go to our website and if you look at any of the live vacancies at the moment, you'll see a link within the advert text to the guide to how to apply. And so you'll be able to just download it from there.
Great. So you perhaps use that as a starting point for creating their own. Sounds great. Lovely. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I think that's great. Well, thanks everyone for attending. A huge thanks to Alex for giving up the time and being here with us today. Thank you very much indeed. Keep the conversation going with us. We're always happy to chat and talk about, you know, it's our favourite subject, disability inclusion in the workplace. So absolutely anything that you'd like to ask us, just get in touch. We can have a conversation with you. And thanks again for attending. And thanks to Nicola for being our BSL interpreter. And thanks to Randy for being our captioner. And another big thanks to Alex. And thank you to Toby from behind the scenes, who is actually making sure everything works smoothly. So thanks very much and hope to see you soon.